Way over here. So it's way over here, if you think about it, egalitarian. So the fact that it's right there is probably a reflection of the bulk of the people responding to this are most likely Americans, and it's being balanced by that. So I would bet if you took an American and you were able to intersect these, this is one thing I wish I could do, you would find yourself more there. Or at least the profession more there.
Oh, so we should be compared to U.S.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Yeah, that is true. So the next one on our list is risk versus certainty. Risk is on this side, certainty is on that side, the computer is in the middle. Risk is on this side, this side to your right, to your left. To your left. Certainty is to your right. Computer is here, and here's where America is right here. Okay, you guys, y'all are all about certainty. That's a function of your generation.
I'm like right on with you two students.
It is, it's true. And it is a function of your generation.
Why do you say that's like our generation?
It's a function of being post 9/11 and post Virginia Tech and post Columbine, post 16 years of war. That's exactly right. If you think about it, it is literally a function of what your life experiences have brought you to. Your parents want to put you in helmets. My parents didn't see me for 5 hours at a time in the afternoon when I'd go out and play. It's just different. And the risk was there. It was a different approach to it. And it wasn't as obvious because it wasn't as present in our face all the time. I'll never forget the time I walked home through the woods and there was a chain gang cleaning out the woods and my mother came completely unglued. When I started telling her these guys with chains were there and they were really nice. She's like, so the risk was present, it was a different way of approaching the risk. That said, our way of being as a country, we were born hanging to the side of a forest and cliffs without anything here that reflected what our lives were before as a country. Now obviously as a world that we joined, it's a totally different story, but the reality is we were all risk-oriented. So that's a fundamental shift in what it means to be American. Recognizing that and figuring out how to appropriately do it. Because don't forget, guys, gals, all of us, inclusive language here, the bottom line is that when you look at those 5 practices, challenge the process requires risk. This is where you are though, compared to where we've been. And think about how to become a little bit more comfortable here. Now, where are you in your professions? How do you compare to your profession?
I'll take the middle.
You and your profession are simpatico?
No, well, my profession's like in the middle, and then I'm like.
So your profession's here and you're just a little bit less. So.
Like in the middle of the middle and the
okay.
bar.
So what else you got? How about Seth?
It's like on the other side.
Your profession's over here, or it's just on the other side of it. So it's still not American. How about Jen? Where are you?
I'm on basically the other side. They take more risks. They're not all the way over, but kind of like in the middle.
They're near the U.S. or past.
Yeah.
Okay. And yet, you're aware where Hannah is?
Yeah.
Here's the key.
The U.S. is really far.
The U.S. is really
Like,
far
for
because
what
it's who we are. And I would argue fundamentally who we were. I think as you all become more and more present, you'll see that change. And that's something to be aware of as leaders. I'm not saying it's good or bad, it's just something to be aware of. What I will make sure you know though, when you join your work settings, your supervisors are closer to me than you, to a person, because they're the ones who created that U.S. The people you're working with that are significantly older than you are over here. Because we're more than willing to take risks with your life when you're not our kids. That's what it means to be in business, because I don't know if you've ever done labor econ, but when you do labor econ, you create formulas to see if it's worth risking this employee's life this much to get this benefit. That's what it meant to be in business in the United States. Okay? So recognizing that piece. So as you're engaging with people, you're going to need to know, this is, I think, going to be your biggest challenge when you're in your job, is to have your supervisors not get frustrated if you're not willing to take risks. Now, risks does not mean that you go off the farm and you do whatever the heck you want and you just don't have any clue about how you plug into everything else. Remember, it's about really well planned races. All right, the next one is direct versus indirect. Direct versus indirect. Direct on this side, indirect on that side. Meaning that when you have a problem with someone, you're direct versus indirect. Meaning, meaning that you don't pussyfoot around with your conversations and with what you're doing and how you engage with others. It also means how you physically engage with somebody. So direct versus indirect. Did you all get that? Direct, looking somebody right at versus indirect. It's not just the verbal, it's the nonverbal. Okay, so on this side is direct. Elizabeth, look where you are. Hey!
Wait
woo!
a minute.
But you were interested in research, right?
Yes.
So think about this. Are you an I on the Myers-Briggs?
Yes.
Starting to catch on? That makes sense if you think about it. And where are you compared to your work?
My
Did you
work
say-
is like one step towards direct from the middle.
From the middle, what's your work?
On here I put information management as close as I could get. I want to do business analytics, but that's
But the analytics, if you did researcher, who did researcher? Did somebody had, where is researcher on this? It's just there too.
Well, it's like direct, it's like,
But that's because the numbers are direct, I imagine, and it makes it from that angle. Whereas you're not interested in that as much. So that's something to be very aware of. This is a cultural piece for if that's where you're going, you need to make intentional choices as to how to either find the type of job that allows for that, because there is the team approach, or to be able to know how to overcome those preferences and those comfort levels, knowing that cultures make you uncomfortable when you're learning how to function in a different culture. But this will make you an out person if you don't pay attention, is the point. That's just one of the things that will contribute to that. Most of what we do in this class and in this program is to talk about how you as the leader can bring out people in. Now this is about how you can take everything you've learned to make you less injured by the same project and content. All right? So I'm not suggesting that an out member is their responsibility to figure out how to get in. I'm not. I think it's the leader's responsibility to figure out how to access that. And when they fail to, they fail to hear everything they could be as successful as they could. So hear that. But if you happen to be the out person, all of this content will help you to be able to figure out how to manage that and be better. Okay? So, direct. How do you think, let's just do this for fun. Go to where your most different than you measure for the different national cultures are, so that we can compare U.S. versus the other national cultures.
Just shoot out of two.
Choose the one that's the most different than the U.S. And then just go stand in it and we'll talk about it.
In terms of direct.
As far as direct and indirect, because this is also a very U.S. thing. We understand independence. That's its own. Direct versus indirect. Because this is about communication. The other, independence, is about work process. This is about your communications.
this is like another country.
Yeah, what's your country?
Well, United Kingdom is like a
Is
country.
this more direct than you?
Hmm?
Different than you, or like different than the US?
Most different than the U.S.
Oh, okay. France, like,
France is way over there. So France is even more direct?
yeah, look at that.
Yeah. France, have you ever noticed how people complain about the French being obnoxious and how they set us off? That happens. I hate the French. Don't reflect that. I'm being that sarcastically. I'm saying that sarcastically. As a young person, as a freshman out of college, my first time I went to France, I had no idea what was happening. And I was interculturally totally insensitive. And I was offended everywhere I went because I didn't get this. In my head, I said, I hate the French. The other reason I'm not too keen on them is they did do some things where they firebombed my father's car because he was a military person at the time. So they're also very political. That's an example. There is that.
Dr. Boyd, I
really
don't,
doing
we'll be having a conversation and then something, an off-the-wall example comes.
But it's true.
Yeah, I know, it's just, and it's
My-
so casual.
My dad was a chief communications officer in 1964 in Germany, and he was with the occupying army, because that's what we all were in Germany at the time. And we had a space in France, and France was throwing us out at the time. And the way they threw us out was they fired Montesquieu. So, you know, when you grow up with that, you know, you don't hate the French.
You hate the French.
Until you understand them better. When you're a southerner from North Carolina and all you know is X, Y, Z, my daddy raised me this way, and that's what I need to learn. So ultimately, where we go from here is, it is what I need to learn. And you can learn from these places as well. You won't be in the same boat. The French are right here. They're much more direct. And if you don't listen to them, then they'll fire around your car. I'm teasing. I'm teasing. You don't want to be emotional.
Sure.
I don't think y'all wear uniforms very often and put things in people's homes that they don't want. As long as you don't do that. What?
know what we're talking
That's what
about.
that was.
Sorry, guys.
We're going down to analogies. The bottom line is, the French are there. Who's over here? Jen, who is Hannah
Well,
representing?
we're in the same place.
Vietnam?
Yeah, same.
So everybody's on that same axis right here. You two did Vietnam, I imagine,
Yeah.
because you were in Vietnam.
Yeah.
How about you? What culture?
China.
China?
Japan.
Japan?
Kuwait.
Kuwait.
What? That makes sense.
So, China, Japan, and Kuwait. What is similar in these cultures?
The family status is very.
Family is a very important piece.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of independence.
There's a lot of like respect is really big. Like when we were there, they were like, you must shake your hands with two hands, and like you can't put your chopsticks straight up and down on a bowl of rice because it looks like incense that you put on a grave. Like
Yeah, I was gonna
It's
say
very-
religion.
religion's
Is a big factor in.
And all of those, I'm going to do one thing. Everybody step aside so you can see what gets ready to happen. Not y'all, stay where you are. Let's step aside and let this one group do something unique to show you one more piece. Now, go back to interdependent. Over here is independent, and that's interdependent. Stand where you think your culture is.
like the culture that we did.
The culture, the Vietnam culture, the Chinese culture, the Kuwaiti culture. China is over here on independent.
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah.
I was confused. I thought you said that
I was
was
gonna say,
I mean, this country.
where's Kuwait? Is Kuwait where they are? So they move a little closer to the center compared to the rest, but they're still over there. Okay, let's go one more. Egalitarian versus status. Do you see the similarities in what moves with your Vietnam? So status isn't as important as Kuwait sees status,